Hello, and a very special hello it is, because it is a day before my birthday. Yes, I'm 22 again, honestly. Anyway, I've received a little yellow box in the post all the way from Argentina, so it's got to be the one and only Tarot de Marseille from Pablo Robledo. So go make yourself comfortable, get yourself ready as we unbox together the Tarot de Marseille. Welcome back. So today we are looking at Argentinian artist and tarologist Pablo Robledo. He is, as I said, an independent artist, so if you haven't heard of him, it's not surprising, but I'm just about to advertise the heck out of him. So he has an Instagram account which you can follow. So let me just show you his Instagram page. Here we go. He's got about 3,000 followers, which is a lot more than I do. But he posts an awful lot about his restorations, his process of restoration, how he does it, as well as kind of pictures of his ongoing projects and bits and bobs that are being printed, including pictures of the tarot deck that I've received. So he restores historical Tarot de Marseille, which is the French style of tarot from the 1700s. But he also has his version of a Tarot de Marsella, which is his take on a Marseille tarot deck. And that's not to mean that he's been inventive with it. What he's done is he's merged some of the different symbolisms from different historical decks and merged them into one tarot deck and just refined it a little bit. So it still will feel like a traditional Marseille tarot, but it's had him look over it and consider which symbols should be on it. So here's a picture of the tarot deck that I think I have in the box. Or it might be a snapshot of something else. Yes, no, the Tarot de Marseille. So it is been picked up. So quite a lot of the tarot decks that he has previously done have been published by independent or limited print runs, so they've been quite expensive to pick up, especially the ones that have been done by kind of artisan printers. They kind of go for about the £200 mark, which I would love to do, but it's a little bit out of my price range at the moment. So this is one of the first tarot decks that is relatively easily available and you can easily pick up. It is printed and sold by an Argentinian company, and I will show you, called Magia Libros Arcana. I'm sorry if my Spanish pronunciation is really bad. My Spanish is pretty limited to holiday Spanish, and it doesn't quite cover the world of occult and tarot. So this is their tarot sales page, and as you can see, the pre-sale of the Marsella Robledo has sold out, but I'm not sure whether they've got these decks left. Drop them an email. One thing I will note for UK buyers, and I think it's probably going to be the same for European buyers, is that their form when you're buying is a little bit of a pain in the A. I had to send them an email and just ask them to send me a PayPal request over and just pay for it directly rather than going through their website portal. So you may, if you are buying from them, have a similar experience, but it shouldn't be a problem. Just drop them in an email. They are wonderful. A woman called Anna, who I believe is one of the owners, has helped me out to kind of get this deck and pay for it and kind of get it here. So really friendly and really fantastic. So let us open it. That is basically what I should be getting. That is the where you can buy it from. And as you kind of saw, the price that I paid, not in Argentinian dollars. The price that I paid for this was around about, I think, 50 UK pounds, which is okay, I suppose, for a kind of a limited print run from a small publishers. It's not a mass marketed publishing like a US games kind of publication. So we shall see. So let's drop down to this little box, and I have a little thank you. There you go. Thank you to German Customs. Thank you so much for unboxing it first. So if you work for the German Customs, thank you for unboxing my tarot deck before I did. That was really kind. I can see that a box like this coming from Argentina might appear suspect, but so this is actually a re-opening, re-unboxing. But thank you so much for making sure that I was not buying anything untowards. Right, so let's give it an open. We have okay, so the other thing that I should say is that there was a little delay in kind of them sending it out, and I kind of had to send them a little bit of a reminder, and as a thank you, they have given me a little bit of a free gift. So I didn't realize it would be this big, so let me just say now, if you are watching this, Anna, thank you so much. That's really, really generous. And especially as this has arrived just before my birthday, which you wouldn't have known, but that becomes a little bit extra special. So I'm going to actually unbox that in a separate video and look through it. I didn't realise I'd be doing that, but that's the only way that I can kind of give justice to it. It looks like a Tarot de la Fuerza. I think Fuerza is strength. No, Fuerza would be strength. So I think it's around about there. So I will be opening that in a different video. It looks really nice. I'm quite excited by that. So yes. So if you are on this video and you actually really want to watch this, go and search my videos. It will probably come out a week different depending on my publishing schedule, but I will open that later. 22 cards of tarot, the major arcana, and book of Goya. I don't know quite what that means, but we will play with that. Right, so this is the main thrust of the show. Here we go. So we've got the Tarot de Marseille by of Robledo. Oh, that's a ribbon. Rio. I think this is the 6th edition. I like the Spanish I'm not very good at, but Argentina press. Very largely Magia Libros Arcana. Go and visit them. Printed in Argentina, and then a demonstration on the back box of the 2 of coins. If you're relatively new to tarot, the 2 of coins is normally where they put the publisher mark on. So normally it's quite a good kind of card to get, especially if it's a historical find, because that will normally tell you where the publisher is. So here you've kind of got Pablo's name, Pablo Robledo, and then a date. I imagine that date is based on the first edition of this deck rather than this one, this 6th edition, which has just kind of been printed. And they've got a link to the Tarot Association because it was awarded as the Historical Deck of the Year back in 2013. So let us give it an open. Nice box, solid box, clamshell box. I do love this style of box on tarot decks. The kind of the envelope cases just get battered and beaten. Like these, you see, they're just not really fit for purpose. So well done on giving us a decent box. And if you are someone that keeps the deck in the box rather than kind of creating a little wrap or God knows what, this looks great and will keep it very well. So well done there. The little white book is actually pretty thick instantly. It's perfect bound. Nice front cover. This style is adapted from when they did the Tarot of Marseille very early. They used to wrap them in just a piece of paper, so you used to get them not in a box but like a paper wrap, and this style is taken from that. If I find time when I'm editing this video, I will put a little picture in one of these corners of that. But they're kind of like a piece of paper wrap, and basically it just kind of has that, and then you just take it off and rip it up and throw it away, and then you're left with the deck. So this is what this is styled over. Yep, nice. So I imagine. Oh no, I thought that the little white book would be in Spanish. For me, thankfully, don't open the deck until you've read at least page 13. That's interesting. Okay, so we will do that. So I thought that this would be in Spanish. It isn't. It's in English. Get into airplane mode. Love it. Yeah. So everyone now just stop what you're doing and pay attention. This deck is a personal and intimate creation. It is the result of the study of 10 previous decks, which is what I was mentioning. The most relevant, beautiful and well made of a Tarot de Marseille tradition. This is not a restoration of a particular deck. I've studied and restored cards and fragments of various decks. By learning the way in which the brushstrokes were made and how they seem, I could use the same look and content in this deck. Nicely said. This is kind of what I was trying to kind of mention earlier. That it's not a pure restoration. They've kind of taken bits from various decks, which could be its strength, because quite a lot of Marseille, when you kind of read Marseille Tarot, there's certain symbols and certain decks that you love and you can kind of read a lot of meaning in, and then others don't have it, but then they'll have another symbol that you really quite like. So it's actually quite nice to have something that's consolidated in one deck. This is the reason why I quite often read the Chris Haddar deck, because he's done a similar thing in the Veritable Tarot de Marseille. He's kind of collated some of the symbols that he likes and he thinks are relevant to like divinatory style usage of tarot rather than play, and put them in his deck. So that's kind of what I was saying. Anyway, take a look. I worked in the same way as master crafters used when passing the knowledge from a master to apprentice. It is repeating and reinterpreting old models and symbols modes, as well as in those rare cases in which some chef d'oeuvre created a new deck and brought into world his own interpretation. Okay, the Tarot is a 78 card game that was created primarily for gambling and finding a host of other uses. It is made up of 2 groups of cards, Major Arcana, blah blah blah, and now it told us to definitely read page 13. So let's see. Shuffle them, play, separate them, the arcana of the court, and observe them. Imagine them in different scenarios. For example, imagine they are all together at a party. How would the interaction between them be like? This is really weird. This is how I teach people to do, like, get used to different occult systems. So especially when they're looking at planetary systems, I kind of tell them to think of the planets at a dinner party around a table, and what they would talk to together, and how the presence of one will change the conversation a bit. So it's really interesting that he's kind of doing that. I think I mentioned these kind of things in my tarot card training course videos, where I kind of say it's like, you know, imagine it as a personality, imagine them talking or discussing. So it's quite fun that he's saying that. Which one is friendlier? Which one has had too many drinks? Probably Queen of Swords, I think. Like, bad breakup, couldn't care less, wants to kind of get over it. Rub them on your body to tell the deck who you are, and wait for it to tell you who it is. All this for at least 78 hours from the moment it is opened and until it is activated. 78 hours of flight, not run. The idea is that there is a synergy, similar to putting a tea bag in boiled water. When it settles, there is no more bag and water. It becomes something else. Really? I can't swear. Bloody cool. Really nice way of putting it. Yes, I love it. I like the 78 hours. I'm not quite sure where he's plucked the kind of 3 days from. But yeah, I like that. And I quite like the reference to tea, because this channel's obsessed with tea, maybe on a down low, but it's in the intro video and I always mention tea. Anyway, so let's have a quick flick through the rest of the book, just so that you know what you're kind of getting. It's talking about the patterns in the cards and what you see. It's kind of very instructional. Like, oh, it's actually really beautifully done. It's kind of like talking about, like I do on my videos, like breaks the card down a bit. And looks at the symbolism in the card. Tarot as an art is 50% natural talent and 50% preparation and study. Totally agree. Observe these images carefully. That's interesting. So he's really training you in kind of a very French style. Of how to kind of see this deck and what he's kind of put in his intentions in. This is probably one of the nicest little books that I've seen, just because of the detail that he's taking, the way that he's saying, you know, compare these cards, look at this card, break this card down like here. It's really almost as if you've got him next to you. Just coaching you through the deck, rather than just kind of saying this card means that, this card means that, and I've paid special attention to the colours. Instead, he's kind of really taking your hand through it and kind of going, no, look here, pay attention to this. What does this tell you? So it's kind of almost coaching. It's actually quite beautiful. So tarot is in tarot. And then that's upside down. Are we going to... Aha! That's why! Ha 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 ha! So it's dual language. So one way up. So I did note this, but I didn't mention it, like that it's in both sides. One side's Spanish, one side's English. So if you are a Spanish speaker, you can read it. If you are an English speaker, you can read it. And that is the reason why it seemed like it was double thickness. Fantastic, great, wonderful. So I will be reading that cover to cover, because I think that is a fantastic little booklet. And if you do just read Marseille but don't have this deck, this would be useful to you anyway. He could publish that as a little booklet, just kind of fill it in extra. In fact, I might make that recommendation. So this is a ribbon insert. I think it's been slightly put in wrong. I think it was supposed to be folded that way, so that you can kind of take it out like so, but neither or. Okay, we have the introduction card here. I like the edges, they kind of feel kind of rough cut. They're nice. Okay, so we've got the art card, just introducing the card. What I was immediately drawn to about these cards is that this kind of warm buff background colour. And I'll show you what I mean with it when I kind of go to these cards. But there's a kind of a warmth, a glow to them that I kind of liked. So I'll get onto that in a second, but let me just have a look at the cardstock. So we have a pretty thick cardstock. It's not extremely thick, so you could ruffle shuffle it if you're a ruffle shuffler. I am not with tarot decks, but you can. Even though I have that kind of in splice clip with me ruffle shuffling the deck, I don't tend to do that. So yes, so it's a relatively thin and flexible card. The edges are pretty rough cut. I quite like that. It makes it feel like it's kind of almost handmade. The cut is from the front to the back if you do a faro shuffle, and then the back is very traditional. This kind of reminds me an awful lot of the historical Marseille tarots, but designed in a kind of a nice way. So it's kind of like, yeah, historical but not. We've got kind of like these 4 fleur-de-lis and a kind of a sun symbol, and then like some little ovals around it, and then repeated in a block. So it's nice. I like that. That is one of it's a better back. You know, like if you look at the backs of the veritable Tarot de Marseille, like it's a nice back. It's reversible. And he purposely designed these for divination, but at the same time it's a little bit kind of bright and a little bit it feels kind of almost play schooly. There's a lot of bright colours going on, and when the focus should be on the front, like this is nice. This is lovely. So there's kind of some sort of vintage feel about this. The cards are actually smaller than average cards. You might have seen when I was just holding that card, but let me just get 2 different cards and show you. So that's the veritable Tarot de Marseille. You can see that it is slightly shorter and slightly thinner compared to the Rider Waite. Again, it kind of is almost like just the inner border of that. It feels nice. It feels like that is a beautiful size for cards. More than that, kind of, you know, it doesn't quite fit well in the hand. So I don't know whether like the ergonomics was considered with this tarot deck, but that feels nice. You know, I could quite happily shuffle these cards, and if you have got smaller hands, then that's ideal. So I won't go through the minors too much. I'll just flick through the minors, but I will go through card by card with the major arcanas, and then I'll just show you the style of the minors. So the reason why I was talking about the colouring is that you can kind of see here that the inner part here is slightly lighter in the background than the edges. It's ever so slight, but it kind of gives the cards this slight glow, this warm halo. I love the colouring. They are a matte, they're not a shiny. They feel satin finish. Yeah, so you can see the shine on the camera there. So they feel kind of satiny. He's also kind of had different tones in the colours. So instead of just doing a solid block of colour, you can see 2 tones here. You can see a kind of a darker brushstroke of blue and then a lighter here. So he's given some definition to it by kind of giving that kind of hint, but it's not overdone. It's not like there's that version of the Rider Waite Smith deck that has a lot of shading, and it kind of makes it feel, well, I don't like it, but it kind of makes it feel kind of 3D. This doesn't. It's very subtle. It's just a little bit here, some under here, a little bit on here. None on the bag that I can see. There's a slight different green in the trousers here. So it's tastefully done, really tastefully done. So yeah, so I quite like it. The colours are in the The green is earth tone, the yellows are kind of earth tone, the red is on the border of earth tone, and the blue is a surprise choice. It works very well, but it's kind of very air kind of tony, but feels warm because of the background, so that's nice. So here we are with the Magician in most decks, or Le Batelier. This is really nicely done. There is slight changes that he's done, but things that have been kept common. So quite a lot of the historical Marseille has this leg almost full width, and he's kind of chosen to push it forward, but he has kept just the 3 legs. He has really emphasised these calves. If you watch my Magician video, you'll kind of pick up on some of these. He has put the plant back that drops out of some of the clothing, and you can see that this hilt only goes up to the leg and doesn't go beyond. That's quite a traditional Marseille thing. So there's a lot of elements there that are the same. There are a couple of differences. I note that some of the coins are in different positions. And he does include I think the Noble does this. The one of the very early Marseille. This red underarm pane, as well as this extra line coming down here, and it kind of makes him look like he's got a cape or something going on there. So yes, so I can definitely see the traditional side of this card, but there is some innovations. I like the white tips on his hair. It kind of makes it look like they're catching the sunlight, and the faces are beautiful. La Papesse. This is an interesting thing. I've not seen that before. Not that I know of, but yeah, very nice, really nice. He's interestingly done this, which viewers of this channel will recognize, where the High Priestess's triregnum pushes outside of the boundary of the card, which is quite important to some readers like me, because it helps you know the meaning. Once again, Empress, lovely. He's done the end of the scepter as a little bean. Fantastic. Good. Nice. Emperor. Nice. Not much hugely innovative there, but it's really nice. Beautifully done. Le Pape. So it really does feel like it could have been a historical deck reproduction. There's no doubt about it. When you're flicking through this deck, it does feel like a historical restoration. If someone gave this to you and said it was based on the Conver deck, it was a cleanup of the Conver deck or a cleanup of the Noble deck, you could completely believe it. There's nothing in here that's surprising. Cupid is with its eyes closed. Sometimes he's blindfolded, sometimes he's got eyes open. There it looks kind of like half closed, half open. I can kind of see a pupil on the left, but his lids are down. He's kind of kept the confusion in the art, whose harm is whose. Very nice. And he's chosen to put his initials on the shield on the chariot. Justice, lovely. There's a lot in that card, and I can kind of see it. I kind of want to sit down with a historical deck and kind of really compare it. This strikes me. This kind of triangle of blue next to the 2 other triangles of blue. Le Hermite, or the Hermit card. Yeah, really nice. That is beautifully cleaned up. So the Wheel of Fortune in the Noble, I think Flournoy, another unfortunately passed away now, but another well-known and well-respected adorer of tarot, mentioned that this felt like it wasn't done by a master craftsman. That quite a lot of the deck was, but there was about 3 cards that didn't feel, it felt like more of an apprentice, and this was one. So in quite a few decks, this card can be a little bit mishy, like bad printing, like not great faces, but he's really restored this card really beautifully. I don't know whether the goatee is traditional, but it fits in quite well. I need to compare this with a historical deck at some point. Really nice, beautiful. I love these crisp lines. The lines on the line work on these prints. If it zooms, yeah. They're just so crisp. That edge is just so crisp, and that, like I said, that kind of light, slightly paler on the inside just kind of gives it that pop, that extra luminosity. It just feels like they're illuminated manuscripts rather than just like an image or a playing card. Nicely done. He's not done any of the coins in the pendu, but it's beautiful nonetheless. Yep. Number 13, he's chosen not to name it in the French tradition, well, mostly French tradition. I think Noblet names it, but the rest don't. So he's kept that as the unnamed arcana. Temperance, that's interesting. I'm not quite... What I wonder is this in the corner. You see that little window sign kind of image? I am wondering what that is. That is a question, so I might have to find that out later. But yes, very nice, very good. I like this, that he's almost kind of reversed the colours choices here. The land is blue and the water is this yellow. Normally this is kind of seen as a bluey water. Le Diable, very nicely done. Yep. The people have eyes on their knees, interestingly. La Maison Dieu, known as the Tower in quite a lot of on decks. That's really beautiful. I mean, I don't think any other card sums up a Marseille deck like the Tower card. There is firstly a very strong difference between it and later tarots, like being called the Tower. And its interpretations are quite different from being called the House of God. You know, they're very, very different. And, you know, he's done this beautifully well, because if there is one card that just is a statement piece for the Marseille Tarot, it is probably this card. I do love that these almost look like little potatoes. I don't know why I see them as potatoes, probably because I'm a bit hungry now. So here, l'étoile or l'étoile, I think it's normally like L, étoile, can't quite recall, but there you go, it's the star, nicely coloured. A lot of colours on this, but it doesn't feel play school, it doesn't feel like colour your own card, it feels quite like there's a unity about it. There's a kind of a story on all those images. You've got the little birdie, so that is very beautiful. If you guys are bored with me saying it's very nice and it's very beautiful, then I need to review a bad deck. I really do. That's nice, really good. Yeah, there's not an awful lot of traditional differences. The crayfish has now been given this kind of look that is popping out of the water. I think traditionally it's all blue. He's kind of made it look like it's popping out of the water a little bit, which I love. It's kind of quirky and it's kind of fun. It's almost like he's popping out and going, "Hello, moon." You know, it's nice. The soleil here, yep, clean, bright. What else did you expect? The Judgment, nice judgment card. Yep, interesting. And then this card, I have seen this card quite a bit on on his Instagram post. I did really love the way that he's coloured this wreath. That has got that two-tone blue that we were talking about. I'm trying to kind of get it to focus on the camera, and the camera's not quite wanting to. Let me just... There you go. So you can see that two-tone blue going around. That is just really nice. I love how he's used just a little bit of that, and that he's just not overused it, because like I said, like it can feel a bit like that kind of bad 3D that kind of makes things look a little bit like plasticine men. So this is beautifully done, really nicely done. It's very clear. It's not like, it doesn't detract from the card. It actually just improves it, and it just kind of gives it a little bit of statement piece. So that's the majors. My overall impression of the majors, having just flicked through, is really nice. I would love to sit down and compare them at some point to historical cards, just to see where the differences are, because it just feels so comprehensive. I love this little dropped bell on Le Mat here, or the Fool. It looks so nice. So, you know, these are beautiful. I love how they feel in my hand. You know, I've not got the biggest of hands, so if you are on the smaller hand size, this is just beautiful. This really does feel nice. So I will flick through the minor cards just so we can get a feel of them. So that's so let's have a quick look at all the aces. Ace. Ace. These are kind of exactly how I imagine a ace to look at. I mean, I know I keep saying it, but the background colour just makes it feel and kind of look like a deck that would be in a library. You know, would be in the Bibliothèque Nationale or the Swiss German Museum in Zurich. It's just really nice. It feels like aged paper. There's an aged quality to it that you just can't get with this white borders. And I kind of did a bit of a survey amongst friends about how clean people like tarot. Like, do they want this kind of... And there seems to be two very strong camps of people that want a very white clean deck, and those that want a little bit more of a rustic deck. And he's got the line clean prints, but he's managed to kind of warm it up with those kind of this warm palette and this buff tone. So which suit shall we go through? Let's go through swords just for a change. So we can see very nicely the Ace of Swords here. It's not hugely different from a traditional Marseille tarot. I do note an interesting slight dark brushstroke. You can't quite see it, but the buff just around this edge goes a little bit dark, which is quite nice. It seems to almost mirror that image. Here we go. They're very traditional style, so if you do like pictorial pips, this might not be for you, or alternatively it might really be a good thing for you, just to break you out of the kind of Rider-Waite-Smith style tarot. I highly recommend it. Move to Marseille. These beautiful branches are looking like an addition. So there's an awful lot of plant work in this, isn't there? He seems to have really paid attention to plants and flowers. I don't know whether that's a thing. I will be reading up more. The other thing is that I'm not sure whether traditionally the sword goes all the way through, but he's chosen not to. I do have my deck on at hand, so I can check to see what the veritable Tarot de Marseille does. This might not be historical, but oh no, he's done it too. So it's me being wrong. So yes, so he's kept to that traditional sword going through from the middle. But I love his little statement pieces. They're really nicely designed, and there is just this. I love these slight, and if that zooms in, you'll see it. Slight imperfections in the way that the colouring is done. So you can see here just that this red on the bud of the flower doesn't go all the way to the edge. There's just a little bit of white there, and that's the same on all the flowers. And you can see here just by the sword edge that there's just not fully coloured all the way to the edge, and in fact that it's almost block coloured between the swords as well, you know, so there's not like a blue white that it should be. Technically it's decided not to be, and that kind of harkens it back to that old printing style in traditional Marseille tarot. Like historically, tarot was woodblock printed, and then big sheets with holes cut in would be laid on top, and then someone would just brush one colour across. So I would lay the blue, I would paint across the holes in the blue panel, and where those holes were would be the blue. So you tend to, in like old tarot, you kind of get this doesn't quite fit in the lines. It depends on how well the person has been colouring to kind of line up. And it's kind of a polite harken back to that, but it's not so messy. It doesn't feel like it is a wrong, it is a mistake. It feels artfully done to respect that old block style of colouring, but yet it's clean enough and pretty enough to withstand being a modern tarot printed by modern means. So you can kind of see that it doesn't go outside of this line here, this blue, but it is block printed across. So I like it, you know, there's no doubt about it. I think it's clever. It's a very well done technique. So here we are with the page, the valet, and here we are with the queen, the king, and the knight. So they've ordered them in this way in this tarot. Obviously, doesn't matter how you read them because they'll all be mixed up. But they're comprehensive, they look nice, the facial expressions are really, really good and crisp and clean, and the line work has been done really well. The line work is still done as if it was a wood block. Yeah? So you can see here, if you were carving a piece of wood to be printing, one side would be slightly deeper than the other side, and it will be slightly uneven depending on where you're putting the shade, and it's thicker on this edge than it is here. You'll see this in traditional tarots. If you look at the magician's arm as a restoration, you'll see that this edge, the arm's edge, is actually made up by all the woodcut edges, so it's not actually perfectly straight. It's kind of slightly bumpy, but it reads as straight. So this is once again a really nicely harken back, because you can kind of see that here on the arm, that it's not the arm shape and then lines just a shading. Those shading lines is what forms the shape of the arm. Yeah, you can kind of just see it. So he's dead right. In like the little book he mentioned that he had really looked at the brushstrokes of the artists and has used that to kind of mirror in it, and he's dead right. I mean, you couldn't fault it. It's exactly the same. He's used what I imagine is digital brush strokes to mirror that wood carving, that kind of darker edge, and using those strokes to eventually make the curvature of the arm and the curvature of the limbs. So beautiful. Shall we look at one more minor Kana suit before I kind of round this up? Let's look at the cups. I like to kind of see that as the complete opposite, but I know it's not. So here we go, the cups. Once again, this not quite coloured to the edge. Nicely done, kind of just makes it feel a little bit more organic and less like a printing. The two here, the Pablo Robledo, nicely done. 3, And once again, real fine detail paid to these pip dividers. Let's call them pip dividers from now on. The pip dividers are beautifully painted and have really had a lot of attention to detail. This almost looks like a blue version of a Scarlet Pimpernel or a Speedwell in English plant, like wild plants. This looks more like a Scarlet Pimpernel. Just the colourings, the opposite, slightly different, but similar. Yeah, and interestingly, here we go, the 7. This base of the cup hasn't been painted. So it's these kind of like nice little happy errors. I don't want to call them errors because they're probably intentional, but happy errors that make it feel warm and cozy than it does like a mass printing house kind of publication. It's, you know, where an editor would go, oh, that's wrong, let's just colour that yellow. It's got that authenticity feeling, even though it's a manufactured authenticity. Beautiful. Not much else. Yep. 10. No pip dividers. Here you'll see there's lots of pip dividers. No pip dividers. I can't remember whether that's a traditional Tarot de Marseille 10 of Cups style. I think that is pretty much. I don't think there is pip dividers traditionally on it. And here we go with the court cards: the Valet de Coupe, the Reine de Coupe, the Roi de Coupe. I love the colouring here on the what are they called? Crowns. That's what kings wear. Crowns. I love the colouring on the crown here. You see that it's dark, like the same shade of blue, but it's kind of like a darker tone here, and then it fades up in like a blue ombre. Really nicely done. Really draws attention to what goes beyond that crown, whether he's got a link to the divine or... Yeah, I like it. And then the Cavalier de Coupe, or the Knight of Cups. Beautiful. Really, really nice. So that is a good unboxing of this tarot deck here, the Pablo Robledo deck, called the Tarot de Marsella. His reconstruction or reimagining of the Tarot de Marseille, but in a traditional and authentic style. Love it. I think it's great. I think the cardstock is on the thin side. Would I have liked it thicker? Probably yes, but it's beautiful for that kind of authenticity feel. I love the raw edges. If you are a tarot card modder, you could mod the edges, you could recolor them or edge them with gold or whatever. But the tarot itself is really beautiful. I love the background. The little white book is fantastic. I love how it feels like he's holding your hand through owning this tarot deck and getting used to this tarot deck. So this is going to be a must read for me over the next week or so. I know it looks like it's a few pages, it's just fitting around with everything else. So that is even worth buying the book for. So I would highly recommend buying this deck if you can kind of get your hands on a copy, or if not, just keep watching Pablo Robledo. I think he's doing great things, and this deck should be a really good illustration of that he is restoring tarot. He is creating his own remixes of historical tarot, but in a way that translates to a modern audience, but brings that kind of historical charm that's not always present in even some of the most well-held Tarot Marseille style decks. For example, like my standard reading deck, the veritable Tarot Marseille, it might replace this for a couple of reasons. First, you can see the front is so shiny, and second of all, the kind of white makes it feel very modern, and I like that kind of warmth that a historical deck has, and this definitely has it. So good for small hands, good for people that kind of love history. If you want a bright white deck and you want a thick cardstock and you want a very glossy front because you're worried about damages or scratches, probably not the deck for you. It is the deck for you if you want a special deck that will take pride of place and that you'll look after, or if you have some more hands. So hope that has been helpful. I will read from this deck very happily on my Patreon, so if you are not part of my Patreon, please consider moving over to it and supporting me there. The money helps, but it also is a fantastic place for me to create a community where I kind of give a little bit more extra resources, as well as work with you guys a little bit more. I will put a link below to Magia's website, as well as to Pablo's Instagram account, so that you can kind of follow and kind of keep watch on them. I hope that has been helpful. I hope that has made you interested in this Argentinian Tarot de Marseille, and please put your comments below and ask me anything you like about the deck, and I will be happy to try and reply to them. Thank you very much for your time. Take care. Bye.